right, so your next page in your packet is this comparative adverbs and superlative adverbs page. And what I did was I just cut it all the way around the outside and glued the whole backside down. I'm covering up part of the notes here that I'm going to have you take later, so that's why this sheet is here. But I put it toward the middle of the page so that I could still see the page number at the bottom. It is going to take up the entire page, so we're not going to have a title on this page. But what I'm going to have you do, recorded this earlier and my video decided to delete on me. So that's why I have it all filled out already, but I'm just going to walk you through again what they are. Luckily, we know a lot about comparative and superlative adjectives, and they're very, very, very similar. So comparative adverbs compared to nouns, and you're probably going, what? Nouns, adverbs describe verbs. But you're comparing two nouns with that verb that are acting together. So those two verbs that are being compared are working with the noun. Trying to figure out the best way to say it. They're working with two nouns. So yesterday and today, I worked quicker and quicker than yesterday and today. Yesterday and today are the two nouns that are working together, but you're still describing that verb. So we only have two rules that we follow: ly ending adverbs and not ly ending adverbs. So if you have an ending with an ly at the end of an adverb, when you're comparing two things, you're going to add the word more or less in front of your adverb. So it depends on the situation. If you're talking about more of something or less than something, obviously you'll have to determine that. But you're just going to add the word more or less in front of the adverb. So slowly. Slowly is an adverb, ends in ly. They're moving slowly, but they're moving more slowly than they were yesterday. Quietly, they're studying quietly. But that group over there is studying less quietly than the other group there. Notice how we're comparing the two groups, the two nouns, but we're still working with the verb that's being described. And more seriously, and then more in front. Now, words that do not have an ly at the end. So a lot of times these are going to be really short adverbs, like one syllable, two syllable adverbs. You're just going to add er to the end of the adverb. Very similar to what we were working with comparative adjectives. So someone's running quick, but they're running quicker than the person next to them. One person on the team is really fast, but they're faster than the other team. They're traveling slow, but they're traveling slower than the car next to them. Okay, so go ahead and copy these down. Pause this if you need to, and then I'm going to move down to superlative. All right, superlative, 3 or more. Again, nouns, 3 or more nouns, yesterday, today, and all week, or whatever you're working with. But that verb is still kind of staying the same. Even though adverbs describe the verb, you're kind of more so comparing the nouns than the verb. Again, ly ending, no ly ending. Probably guess how comparative and superlative change. So instead of having more in front, once you compare 3 or more nouns, you're going to add most or least, depending on what you're talking about, again, in front of the adverb. So someone's moving slowly, but they're moving most slowly out of everyone in the group. Someone's studying quietly, but that group over there is studying the least quietly compared to everyone in the library. Someone's taking the situation very seriously, but they're taking the situation most seriously because it's dangerous. Okay, and then no ly ending, again, those short adverbs. Instead of adding er, you're adding est to compare the 3 or more things. So someone's running quick, but they're running quickest on the team. Someone is traveling fast, but they're traveling fastest out of everyone in the interstate. Someone's moving slow, but they're moving the slowest compared to the rest of the people in the group. So go ahead and pause this if you need to finish up these notes at the bottom here. And then I am going to move over to the side. I did leave quite a bit of room on the side. Well, not quite a bit, but a little chunk of room. If you did not, and you put this toward the middle of your page, you might want to start taking notes on the next page for this little chart that I'm going to have you copy down. So here are some irregular comparative and superlative adverbs. Let me adjust this quickly. That don't follow the ly, no ly endings, or they don't follow these words or these rules here. So if you have the word badly, you're going, all right, ly ending, more badly, most badly. But this actually changes to worse. So someone has it, or let's say they messed up badly, but they messed up worse than the other person. We wouldn't say more badly than the other or most badly. It changes from badly to worst to worst. So I wrote the P, C, and S at the top to stand for positive, comparative, and superlative, which remember this is just like the main adverb, positive. Okay, and then far is the next one. Far, the only way it becomes irregular is because there's two versions of the comparative one. And we've talked about this with grammar rules before. Farther is always used when talking about distance traveled. Further is always talked about with the word more. So like if you're investigating further, you're investigating more. You're not investigating farther because farther is always attached to distance or traveling of some sort. So from far, depending on what you're talking about, you would just add an ER to the end. And then either of these, the one that you used here stays the same, but you just add an EST to the end of the adverb instead of ER. Next one, little, changes to less, and then the least. That one's pretty self-explanatory. Well, better, best. You're probably thinking back to the adjectives, comparative, superlative, and positive form or chart that we filled out. And this was good, better, best. Now, why would this be the same as good? Good and well are oftentimes misused with each other and interchanged with each other, even though they shouldn't be. Good, let's say I have this down below actually. Good equals adjective. Well equals adverb. Okay, so good is always used with a noun. Well is always used to describe a verb. Now, the biggest thing, and I still hear myself say this all the time, is if someone asks me, how are you doing? Or what's up? I'll say, oh, I'm doing good. How are you? It should actually be, I'm doing well. How are you? Because doing is your verb. Doing is not an adjective, okay? Or it's not a noun, it's a verb. So well changes to better and best. Even though these are different meanings, different words, better and best are still the comparative and superlative forms of that. And then the last one is much. You liked it very much, but you liked it more than the other gift, and you liked it most out of the rest of the gifts. So much, more, most. So just make sure you have this copy down. If you had enough room, you could copy it here. If you needed to use the next page, that's fine too. Just come up with a title that fits this chart. All right, then on this assignment on Google Classroom, there's a Google Slides that you're going to fill out. It has 3 slides. The first 2, you're just filling out a chart very similar to this with ones given to you. You're going to use the one that's given to you and expand it across just like you saw in the adjectives test or the quiz. Then the third slide is you're going to determine whether the word that's bolded in each sentence is comparative or superlative, and you're going to type in the word comparative or superlative. Yes, you're going to spell it out all the way. So comparative, you can use your composition notebooks. They're typed up right there. It's also on the Google slide pretty often, so you can use that as a reference if you need help spelling.